Eliminating gluten from your diet, it doesn't mean they have to sacrifice your sweet tooth, which is nice. Joining us with Chef Secrets, we have Chef Bill Collins, chefbill.com, cookbook author, all of that jazz. But today, we're going to make 2 gluten-free desserts.
Yes, we are.
Good.
And these are so good, you'd never know they were gluten-free. And that's part of the charm of it, because just because you might be eliminating gluten from your diet doesn't mean you have to sacrifice or suffer.
Well, one of the big things that people add to the cakes is the flour, and that's, I think, where a lot of the gluten comes in when you're baking.
That's exactly where it comes in.
So how does one substitute it?
Well, in this case, there are 2 things going on. One of the things we have here are cookies. And I've mixed up all the initial ingredients in here, just to show you how well this comes together. But the key ingredient to both of these, and all baking, there are a few things that can help make a cake or something baked rise. And one of those is eggs.
Okay.
And so eggs are the key ingredient for both of these. So the cookies that I'm making, they don't rise a lot, but there's confectioner's sugar, cocoa powder, and nuts, and that's entirely what's in the dried mixture here. And then egg whites, not even egg yolks, egg whites, and a little vanilla for the moist part.
So these are almost calorie-free.
Except for the sugar part, you can say that.
Yeah.
And so I've already put the walnuts in here. You can go with peanuts, you can go with almonds, whatever kind of nut you want. It's all chopped up.
I was going to say, this is really finely ground. You can hardly make one out.
Exactly. Well, here it looks like this is one of the nuts here. It looks like maybe it's just cocoa powder clump, but all the lumps you see there are nuts. Another part of I always tell people, if you're using confectioner's sugar in a cake or any kind of baking, sift it first, and the cocoa powder, because you get these little lump things that just won't break up.
Yep.
So that way, so this is all sifted first. So now you see all the dry ingredients there, and unlike so many baking things with egg whites, these are not whipped first. And so just pour the egg whites in, and in this case, this is half the recipe. So that's just 2 egg whites, and this is about a half a tablespoon of vanilla. And it looks like, well, geez, there's not much liquid there. This is gonna be very dry. Well, that's what's so deceptive about this one, is you keep stirring it, it's slowly starting to come together.
You're right.
And in a moment, this is just going to be a nice, glossy looking batter. So it's all coming together, and you can see, and then from there, see, that's how easy this is.
Now from here, is that it?
That's it. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take these, and we're going to put these a teaspoon or so each. See, that's done. And we're going to put it on parchment paper. The reason it's going on parchment paper...
And not aluminum foil.
Not aluminum foil. And the reason for the parchment paper is this is going to keep it from sticking to the pan, because there's no fat in here. And so that's good. And we're just going to... That's perfect.
Thanks. They're not circular.
Well, they're going to end up kind of roundish, but they'll find their own shape. But they're kind of roundish, we can call it that.
They're like liberal arts cookies. They're going to find their own path.
That's exactly what we call them.
It's on the recipe.
Yes.
So we do this, and then we put it how long in the oven?
It takes about 15 minutes in the oven.
Okay.
And you can tell when they're done, because often with so many cookies, as I've done on Massive Appeal before, is with so many cookies, you see they're a little browned on the bottom, but these, they're a little cracked on the top. And that's how you can tell they're glossy. And one other thing I really want to emphasize, too, is that all of the ingredients here are from our friends at Whole Foods in Hadley.
Oh, well, thank you to them.
So, exactly. And especially you'll see with the next recipe, got so many great ingredients.
Well, you know, we'll take a pause here. We'll take these and put them over here. Now, why don't we make the other cookie now?
Okay, and the other cookie is actually a cake.
Okay.
And so here's what we have here. We've got a very dense dough. This actually, I'm going to just toss this right behind me like that.
While you're doing that, I'll editorialize for a moment. I love these cookies just as I love the liberal arts. I'm a liberal arts student, so I didn't want to offend anybody just in case I did, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a very important to say.
I have an English degree. I love it.
I have one in geography, and here we are.
There we are.
There we are. And so this is a very dense dough, so it looks like a cookie dough. Yeah. But now, I just mentioned the cookies before, we just put the egg whites in plain. In this case, I did whip the egg whites.
What consistency difference does that give you?
This is gonna help it rise as well, because all I've added to the egg whites are air. So that loftiness is going to lighten up the batter and help it rise as well. It's air that you're putting in there.
So we combine these two?
Yes, but now here's the thing. The first thing, because this is so dense, I'm just going to take a couple spoonfuls here, and I'm just going to mix it all up in there. Now, in theory, this is defeating the purpose of
because you're
whipping
smushing it in.
And not only am I smushing it in, but I'm taking all the air out that I just worked so hard to put in there.
I feel like you're wasting our time right now, then.
I am. However, this lightens up the batter. See how before it...
You're right.
And so this way...
You want another lump?
Why don't we give it a couple more lumps?
Okay. Lump one.
And this is what we call folding in. It's a very awkward maneuver where you kind of think of this like a clock, where you come down bring the spatula down from 12 to 6 o'clock and fold it over. Because if you were to just mix it in out of the spoon or with a blender, what's going to happen is, again, you take all the air out.
Well,
so I'm going to turn this over to you for just a moment.
Good. And I'm going to turn it over to a quick pause. We're going to be back in just a little bit to finish these up, and you have a cool trick to show us, right?
I do. Yep.
All right, don't go anywhere. We're back with celebrity chef Bill Collins, chefbill.com. Earlier in the show, we showed you how to make a cookie and a cake, and now we're finishing them up.
Yes, we are. And actually, I want to show you a great little trick on because putting paper in the bottom of a cake pan. The reason you do that is it helps you get the cake out of the pan, keep it from sticking to the bottom.
That's
so you
the
end
hardest
up
part.
Exactly. So rather than do like cutting out little bits and trying to make something rounded and it never works out round, take a full piece of wax paper and then fold it in half again.
Oh, I see what you're up to.
Fold it in half again.
This is a good old-fashioned geometry trick.
Exactly, which they teach in the liberal arts.
They do.
And then you fold it in half again, so you've got this cone shape. Flip it over, and you'll see here that
you find the center.
Find the center. Cut. And
wow.
if I've played my cards right, you're now ready to put that in the pan.
That's education at its finest right there, folks. Now, we would have put, had we been doing this, we would have put our mix in there, put that one in the oven for how long and at what temperature?
That goes in, actually it cooks for almost an hour. First 20 minutes at 375, and then it finishes off for about 50 minutes at 350. But then a funny thing is when you're done, nobody knows why you do this, but the cookbook author, I said, keep it in the pan, put it on a wet, damp paper towel, a cloth, and let it sit for 10 minutes, and that helps release it. Maybe it steams up of it and helps release it from the sides.
It probably does nothing. The cookbook author was just trying to make fools of us all.
No, Joe, her name is Maida Heater. She's a classic of cookbooks.
All right, good, good. Now we're making something to put on top of it.
Yes, and I just wanted to show this part. I made a sauce, and it's all on the Mass Appeal website, but it's just, you can use frozen raspberries, amaretto, but if you want to avoid putting the liqueur in there, you can skip it all together, and some more confectioner's sugar.
But this seems like your method for getting the seeds out.
That's exactly it, because what happens is,
Smart.
otherwise you'd be sitting there picking them out of your teeth, and it would just
Ruins
end
a dinner
badly.
party.
It does. Otherwise you have to hand out toothpicks to everybody.
And that it doesn't make for a classy evening.
It doesn't. So now there are 2 more steps for the cake.
Okay.
And here's how you cut a cake. And a lot of people, they just start hacking away. And by the time you get to the 3rd piece, it's an odd-shaped mess. And especially if you figure I'm going to have 8 people and more people show up, when you cut it the way I'm about to show you, you can cut it into an infinite number of pieces. They might be thin slivers, but you can do that. First thing you want to do is cut the cake in half.
This is, I think baking has met math and geometry today.
This is all about the math skills.
Today's edition of Mass Appeal. There will be a quiz.
There will be a quiz. All of our viewers got blue books and number 2 pencils. But here's the thing. You want to cut it in quarters. So now from the point of the corner, almost the triangle, you can go with any shape you want. So usually, most people cut it into thirds, and then you can get equal-sized pieces. So now, what you want to do is you can paint the plate. You can do whatever you want.
And this is when you can make it look like an expensive restaurant dish.
Exactly, and you can kind of do anything you want to make it look great, goofy, anything you want.
That's the best part, but now it looks so professional.
Thank you. And so then you put it on there, and now
Here you
one
go.
little dollop. That's perfect.
There
A
you
little
go.
dollop. Oh, we had some chocolate. A little dollop of whipped cream. And by the way, you don't use the word dollop either with whipped cream or sour cream. Did you notice?
Yes.
That,
I think it's one of the most, is it onomatopoetic, the word that sounds like what it is?
yes,
Dollop is the ultimate one.
exactly. So here we've got
We have this one,
we've got that one. And so there is the cake, and it's ready to go.
and we have these. Both the recipes are on our website.
Yep, and you see how shiny these are, and when these came out of the oven, cracked a little bit, they're soft on the inside, a little crunchy on the outside, and you've got this great dessert. And the cake actually is a little more effort than the cookies. That took about maybe over 20 minutes to put together, but it's so worth it. It's a nice, dense, nutty, chocolatey cake.
And the best part is these both look luxurious. They're they're gluten-free.
Gluten-free, really tasty, you would never know.
Chef Bill, thank you so much. The best part is we learned something today.
Absolutely.
As we always do, is more than just cooking. If you want a recipe, these recipes, all you need to do is go on our website, mymassappeal.com, later today.